Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois, right on the Wisconsin border. And I have today some paper pumpkin alternatives to this month's paper pumpkin kit, which is called Mountain Majesties. And it seems like the kits are coming later and later every month, so I'm feeling much more pressure to get things done quickly, and with the holiday weekend it's been difficult. But I did manage to come up with some alternatives. I've taken 2 of the cards, and instead of making 3 of each, I've turned them into 9 of each. And I decided to stop there because I wanted to get this video done for all of you. So you will see my variations on 2 of the cards, like I said. I hope you like them. Let's get started. Here is the kit, again called Mountain Majesties. It comes with a Misty Moonlight ink spot, and it makes 3 cards, 3 of each. And I've taken these 2 and turned them instead into 3 cards into 9 by cutting apart the card bases and by using the components that are supposed to be used for the cards to make basically a 3rd card with each one. So I'll show you that. Remember, always double check, make sure you have everything. Reach out to Stampin' Up! If you don't. These are the companion dies that come with the kit, which I have right here. And I did use the one that is meant to coordinate with this month's kit, which is this one. I used it on one of the cards. I decided not to go with hugs or the flower or the leaves. So, because on one of the kits, I used all of them. I guess last month's kit, I used all of them on one of the cards, but I didn't do that this time. And then I love it that they have this insert that has the stamps that are part of the kit all in there, so you can see, and you know how they lay out. This is the way they lay out on the plastic sheet that comes with it. So lots of sentiments, some birds. This is one stamp and this is another, this little one right here, which you'll see in a minute. But you mean the world to me. Happy birthday to a wonderful man. I love you. Best dad ever. You're the greatest, and happy Father's Day. So I've used the happy birthday and the happy Father's Day, and obviously some of the others, which you'll see in a minute, but lots of options, which I love. Okay, well, let's get started with the alternatives. So here is the first card that I designed, and it's my favorite one that I designed. It is a fun fold. So it opens this way to reveal the sentiment on the inside. And it is a little bit, I think that's a little ink there. It is a little bit challenging to set up, but I think it's worth the effort. And if you can see, I don't know if you can see, but you can kind of see the happy birthday beginning there, part of the word happy. So we're going to move that down so that it's a little bit more hidden underneath both of these, or certainly underneath them when they're folded like this. But it's just one sheet of one little sheet of cardstock. So this is where the fold is, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. So let's get started. I'm starting off with a piece of Pool Party cardstock, and it is 4 inches by 5.5. The reason that it's 4 inches is the inserts that come with the kit are 4¼ inches, and you need to score them so that they can be folded. And so you lose 1/4 inch doing that. So I will show you how I did that and tell you about a little mistake on this card, because I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can't. But I wanted the score lines to be on the shorter sides. And when I first did this one, I by mistake did it on the longer side. So I don't know if you can see it because I tried to burnish it with my bone folder, but you can see the score line there. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but I'm going to try to do it more carefully, obviously, on this one. So I'm going to move my cutting blade out of the way. And again, we're taking the shorter side, and I'm going to say we're going to do it at a scant 1/4 inch because it makes a difference here when you fold it in. So instead of being right on the 1/4 inch line, I'm just going to bring it back a little bit. So that's what I mean by a scant 1/4 inch. And we're going to burnish that. The other thing that I found, this piece is vellum, and let's see, I'm going to move it up this way so you can see the bottom, because I'm going to move it down there. So again, scant 1/4 inch, and I did find that it's very thick, and so that's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. And the reason it's a bad thing is that it makes it hard to fold it. straight because I had an issue with that. So I'm really going to burnish this. And you can see it's almost turning it, but I want it to be that way so that it's easy to fold it on that score line, because that was my problem with the first one. It was crooked when I folded it the first time because it wasn't exactly on the score line. So I'm hoping I can avoid it this time. This one's easy because it's cardstock. And we're going to double check. All right, that fits pretty nicely right there, just about to the edge. So that's what we want. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. And then for this one, I'm going to hope, yes. Now it is tearing a little bit, which is not necessarily a good thing either. That's the risk of burnishing it too much, but I'm going to go with it and hope that that works out okay. Yeah, we're just going to go with that. So there is tear and tape that comes with the kit, I believe, or did I just pull it out of my stash? I don't even remember now, but I'm going to take some tear and tape. I think it does come with the kit. Yeah, it does. And we're going to put this on the edge where we're going to fold it, and it's a little wider than we need, and that's okay. And actually I just made it a little longer than I needed, but that is all right because we're just going to fold it in, because it's going to overlap here, or it's going to stick out here, and we're going to just fold that in. So that'll be fine. And I think what I'm going to do is overlap it just a little bit with that edge that I'm going to overlap it just a little bit where it's torn, basically. So overlap it just a little bit with the burnished, or the scored edge, sorry. And hopefully that will help keep it in place too. That'll help hold it together. So I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and you saw that I burnished them. You want that adhesive to stick to the cardstock and the vellum. And we'll take this up. Yeah, hopefully that will work, but we'll see. And I'm going to fold this edge in a little bit and do the same thing on this side. I'm going to turn it this way, and we'll get rid of that overlapping adhesive. Like this. We're just going to fold it right in, and that will solve the problem. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. And then I've got my piece of cardstock, like what I'm using for my card base, and I'm going to line it up on the bottom, just like that, so that it's straight. Perfect. And we'll burnish that. That's the easier one. And then this one goes on this side. Same thing, I'm going to line it up along the bottom. Oh yeah, this is so much better. It was crooked. So let's get that a burnish, and hopefully it won't be an issue. But you know, I will say one thing. These are cards for men, so it's not like they're going to get a lot of handling. They either are going to get put in a drawer or put in recycling, sadly. So hopefully in a drawer. But they won't need to be open that much, so I think that's going to be fine. Yeah, I think that's going to be fine. And it is. It's a little bit of adhesive on the bottom, but that is going to work. Okay, so that is the hardest part, and that's done. And I won't do it yet, but at the end we'll give that another burnish so it will lie a little flatter. And we will stamp the birds. I did that in Memento Black. So we'll bring that in along with the stamp with the birds. And do that right up at the top. And I believe that's all we're doing. Oh, and I guess I did To a Wonderful Man in black too. Actually, let's use the Misty Moonlight this time. We'll see what that looks like. Let me pull that in. And I am going to open it up just so it's flatter. And I just fit it right in the space there. It kind of fits perfectly. So we'll make sure it's straight here. Yeah, I do like it with the Misty Moonlight. And then for the inside, I believe I did Happy Birthday, that's right. And also in the Misty Moonlight. So now I'm just gonna make sure it's down far enough. So I'm kind of eyeballing it here. So we'll move it down. Perfect. And that is it. That is the first card. Quick as that. It comes together, as you saw, very quickly. We're just going to burnish this so that it'll lie a little flatter. Oh yeah, perfect. I'm going to do this one again too. But that is it, and I love it. I love that it's a fun fold. And that was my idea when I saw the pieces, because I guess I didn't like the idea that these pieces were laying over identical pieces on the card front. Let me pull it in so you can see, because they're exactly identical. And I thought, well, then you're covering all of this up. And so that's why I did the 3 separate cards. So, but that is card number 1. And I will be back in a moment with the next one. And I did forget to say, for that one, I stamped Happy Birthday on an envelope, because while there are envelopes that come with the kit, there are not enough. There are only 3, and I'm making 9 cards, so you do need some of your own envelopes. So I did that with the first one. This is card number 2, and I'm going to move that right away so I can show you. Again, I've got that card base, so this one uses the back side of the card base, and that's another thing I hate to do, is waste them and have them just be on the back of the card where no one can see them. So that's why I often cut these apart, almost always, I would say, or always. So we're going to do that. Just measuring it at 4 1/4, which should put that right in the channel, that score line. And we've got our 2 halves. We're going to save this for the 3rd card. And we need a card base. And for this one, I just used basic white card base. For one of the other ones, I used the thick one, and you'll see that in a minute. But I felt like with this whole piece, this whole card back that we're using as a card front made it thick enough. And make sure it's gonna fit. Yes, it is. And I'm gonna stamp the birds first, just in case we have any kind of goof up, although I only have 1 more, so that would be a problem if I did, but hopefully I won't. But I like the birds. I used this on a lot of the cards because I thought it just added something really nice. And I think this time we'll center it, just for something a little different. So if you've watched my videos before, you know I like to do that. I like to change it up so that it gives you more ideas. So we are going to put that aside for now, actually, and then we're going to stamp. Here is, like I said, I cut out the die in Pool Party because I felt like that coordinated nicely, and so that's the die that comes with the companion die set. We'll move this out of the way for now because we did You Mean the World to Me. I stamped it in Misty Moonlight, so we'll bring that in our Misty Moonlight, and we'll ink it up. Feel like wonder if my pad needs re-inking. I feel like the left side is not as quite as inked as the right, but probably user error. Yeah, see, it's, I don't know, thicker on that side a little bit, but I think that's pretty good. And then for the inside, I did I Love You, Happy Birthday, and it's a little bit crooked, so I'm going to do it differently this time. I stamped them separately last time. This time I'm going to put them on the same block. Let's see if it fits on this one. So I've got my Happy Birthday and my I Love You stamp, and I'm going to do this and just set them up, well, a little separated, but using the lines on the grid here to get them straight. So let's see. So I wanted a little bit of space in between. And I'm going to test it out. I always want to do a test run. So I've got my scrap. And let's see. Again, kind of using the grid. Not bad. The I love you is up just a little bit, but that's pretty close. I'm going to live with that. So we'll ink that up and do it on the inside. So all of our stamping is done, and we'll just put it all together. And the one thing I did with these cards was make them simple. I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue to put this on. Kept them simple because, again, cards for men, like I said before, I don't know that they're necessarily going to keep them. And so I feel a little less bad about, you know, thinking that they're not going to keep them if I haven't put in a whole lot of work, and yet I want to have the cards be thoughtful and say what I want them to say, but also be a little on the simple side. So that's what I was going for these cards. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the back. Just like that. Take the paper off, and I just put it in the center toward the bottom. About like that. And that is it. So no bling, no ribbon. They're not really, don't often use any kind of bling on a mail card anyway. So again, simple, quick, but I think they're really nice. And I don't think you miss anything by not having the layers that I used on the first card. So that is card number 2. Here is the last card. And this one actually looks just like the one in the picture, so you wouldn't even know that it didn't have all the layers. Well, I made one slight variation, but other than that, you wouldn't even know that it was missing the layers because it does have the layer of the trees. So for that one, I have the card front and another basic white card base. Again, just regular, not thick. So yep, that's gonna fit pretty well, I think. And we'll do the same thing. We'll stamp those birds. Like I said, I really like them. So I'm going to grab that Memento black and the bird stamp again. And this time we're going to stamp it over on the left-hand side so that we have room for the sentiment. And then we'll put it on the front with the multi-purpose liquid glue. And these obviously come with the kit. I put dimensionals on the back of both of them. And the only change that I made is that for the, well, besides not having the other layers, this has a piece of white behind it that comes with the kit. And I don't like doing that when there is no real white on the card. So I eliminated that. But if you like it, you can add it because it does come with the kit. So I'm putting some dimensionals right down the middle on this one. And then starting basically wherever those larger dimensionals will fit. You could use your small ones if you have them, but I just was using what came with the kit. Put one here, I think. And I do like a lot of them, as you can see. But I want it to stand up. I don't want it to be saggy in any place, so I use a lot. And I'll take the paper off. And then this gets lined up just right on the bottom. I lined up this with the corner here, just like this. and this one up at the top with about the same amount of space on both of these sides. And then the only thing we have to do is stamp on the inside. I did happy birthday, and I used the other bird stamp, so we'll do that too. So I'm going to bring in my Misty Moonlight, and I've got the happy birthday stamp. You could still use the I love you on there, obviously, if you wanted to. And then for the small birds, I'm going to bring in Memento Black again. And I just put them right here. And as easy as that, card number 3 is also done. All right, for the next card, I'm going to do the easier one first. So this is one of the cards, and this is obviously using the card base. So I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to use the other half. So it goes like this, and we'll use this half this time. I've got a thick Whisper White or basic white card base this time. So that is what we will be using, just because this layer isn't that thick. You could probably get away with a regular one, but I decided to use this one, a thick one. And I'm going to tell you stamp first, and that's why I've been doing that so far, because I did actually make one of these and I wasn't really happy with the stamping, so I didn't use it. But that's okay, sometimes that happens. And if it makes 9 cards and I only get 8 out of it, that's still pretty good, because originally it was only going to be 3, so I'm not going to be too upset. I'm using the You Mean the World to Me again, but again, there are many other sentiments, so just pick what your favorite one is and use that, or 2, and you can put them together the way I did in one of the earlier cards. But for this one, I'm using You Mean the World to Me. This is what they use for this card in the kit. Make sure it's straight and kind of center it. And there we go. Simple as that. I love it. I love that I can make a lot of them at once and it doesn't take a lot of time. And they're still nice cards. They're definitely simple stamping, but that works for me. And then on the inside for this one, I did I Love You and Happy Father's Day. I lined them up the same way or similarly using my grid. And for this one, you know, again, so they're really butted up right against each other, and I'm going to do a test run, because you definitely always want to do that using the grid to see if it's straight. Oh yeah, I like that. Took me a little bit to line it up the first time I did it, but this seemed to go better. So clearly this is a Happy Father's Day card instead of Happy Birthday. And you can see I moved it just a smidge, but again, it's handmade, and I think people understand that. So I hope they do. So I'm okay with that too. I'm gonna put this on the front with some multi-purpose liquid glue. So again, you can make a lot of cards very easily. So for fathers and fathers-in-law, sons, brothers, you'll have lots of Father's Day cards or birthday cards. And so just like that, another card is done. And again, I would do the same thing with the other half of the card. Very simple. And then you can get them done, many of them done quickly. And then let me show you what I did with some of the components of the card that I didn't use. So here is the last card I'm going to show you today. So this uses the layers, because again, I just felt like, why cover up, well, it would be this one, but why cover up what's already there? Then you miss all of that. But I wanted to recreate the sky a little bit. And I was originally going to use Petal Pink that I know they used here. And then I decided to use blue and to make the sun more prominent. So that's what I did for this card. started again with a thick white card base, which I already have folded. And these are the components for the card. So there's one piece of vellum and 2 pieces of cardstock. And they just layer this way. And what they tell you to do is put dimensionals, which I did. It's hard to see here, but I did put dimensionals on the back, so I'm going to do that again. And I did put them together, but actually I'm not going to do that this time. And I'll show you why. At the end, it was very thick and uneven. So when I put my seal on the back, it was just a little more difficult to do, but you do need this piece to use as a reference guide, because what I also have is another piece of basic white. This is just regular, it's not thick, and it is cut to the same size as the card front, 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches to recreate this. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna fess up and show you, there's a mistake on the back. And it's not really that easy to see, but I was not happy with it. So that's why I'm going to flip it over and use the other side, because I think it's really important, number one, to show that even demonstrators make mistakes. I know a lot of my friends think that, you know, I'm such a perfect stamper. I'm not. I just have ways to fix mistakes, and this is one of them. Flip it over. So that's what I'm doing. And what happened was, after I masked everything, when I pulled off, when I did the blue and I pulled off the little circle, it took a little bit of cardstock, and I tried to ink it anyway with the Daffodil Delight, and it didn't work. So I was going to try to put the sentiment here, and then that didn't work either. So we're going to flip it over and start over. All right. So like I said, there's usually a way to fix a mistake. So that's what we're going to do today, is flip it over and use the back side. I did use my bone folder because when you cut it, there's a little bit of an edge. I did use my bone folder to smooth that out a little bit, and I do suggest that you do that because I think it helps. And I will show you. So I used my 1 3/4 inch circle punch to punch a circle out of the masking paper. And this was my second attempt. The first time, it sort of tore a little bit on one edge, and I still used it, but it was more of a problem. And then I needed to cut a second one anyway, and I'll tell you about that in a second, why I needed to. But when I did it, I just firmly did use the punch, and it punched a much better circle. And there's a little bit of fraying here, and that's because it was hard for me to lift it up, but that didn't have anything to do with punching it out. The other thing I would suggest is do this a few times, either on your pants or your shirt, because you don't want it too sticky, because that's what happens. You end up, and I still did it, and it happened here anyway, it took up a piece of the cardstock, and then that kind of goosed everything up. So all that being said, you want to take your circle that you punched, and I peeled the backing off of this is the masking paper. I've peeled the backing off, and I'm putting it in the corner, sort of close to the top. And the reason I'm doing that is when I punched, I'm going to show you the other side, because we're going to use that in a minute. You want to leave a decent amount of space on at least 3 of the sides, and the masking paper is only so wide, so this helps it to be wide enough for the project. And I'll show you what I mean when we get to that, when we do the sun. So, but anyway, I wanted it narrower here, so up in the corner, but pretty much the same amount of space. And I'm going to take my Balmy Blue ink and my blue blending brush, and by blue I mean I use it for blues. And then I started here and then moved around onto my project and re-ink. So you want about the top 2/3 or so, and that's why we need this, to make sure that we've got coverage down far enough. So again, you could use Petal Pink if you wanted to mimic the other card, or you could use the blue, the Balmy Blue, to make it more like sky. I almost thought about using the Misty Moonlight, but then I thought to make it more of a night sky and just use it as a moon rather than a sun, but I don't know, I thought it would be too dark, but that's certainly something you could try. And you're just going to lay enough color down until you're happy with how dark or light it is, depending on your preference. And now I'm going to come back in with this and put it at the bottom to make sure I've got coverage. And I think I am going to add just a little more color toward the bottom here. But I do like the variation in color too. So I think that's important. And so that is it for our blue blending brush and our balmy blue ink. But before I peel off the circle, I'm going to lay that other piece down, and it tore a little bit, which was not a big issue. And this the tear is at what I'm going to use at the top end. So you want enough, like I said, of the masking paper. We're going to just lay it around that circle, but you want enough space on these two sides especially, so that you, when you're using the yellow, it doesn't get onto the cardstock, because this is actually my second attempt also. On the other side, you could see a line here and a little line up here of yellow. And so I realized right away I need to redo it. And so that's why I punched another one. And so this is pretty well set, but before I put it down, I'm going to pull this up before I burnish it just a little bit. I'm going to pull this up, and this was where the problem was with the what I had on the other side, because it pulled up, that's when it pulled up the cardstock. So just beware. And so now I just need the circle part burnished a little bit. This part doesn't matter, but this part does, because I don't want ink seeping underneath it. So now I'm going to take Daffodil Delight and my yellow blending brush, and for this one I did not stamp off first. I started right in the middle, thinking that I wanted the middle to be a little darker than the edges, and so that's the look I was going for. And so again, you want to be careful not to go beyond where that masking paper is. That's the only thing you really have to be aware of, because you do want to get it to the edges without going too far. A little more. And I think we're going to call that good. Hopefully there's no yellow on the edge. Looks good here. Yeah, looks good here. And see, by leaving that circle on there before you put this around it, you really get virtually perfect placement of the ink. And so that's what I was going for there too. We don't need this anymore. And I think we'll put this down. Well, maybe we won't, just in case. I'll put it down, but not adhere it. That's what we'll do. We'll lay it here. So we're going to stamp again one more time. You mean the world to me. I really do like this stamp, which is why I've used it quite a bit today. We're going to stamp it in Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to stamp it down here. And then for the inside, I love you, happy Father's Day, but I think I'm going to make this one a birthday card again and just do the happy birthday. So we'll do that in Misty Moonlight too. And that is all of our stamping, although I will do, again, a happy birthday on the envelope, because again, some come with the kit, but not enough to do everything. So I'm going to grab that happy birthday stamp one more time so that they coordinate, and then our stamping is done. So we just have to put everything together. So I'm going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue for that, and no one will be the wiser that there was a mistake, which I love. now we'll put this one down, because this one we just used the seal for. And we'll put that flush with the bottom and the sides. Try that again. Yeah, that's better. And then for these, I'm using my dimensional. So we're going to start with this one because it's really important not to have dimensionals on here where they're going to show. So we'll put some dimensionals. And take the paper off, and we're going to do the same thing, line these up so that the bottoms match up. And now we know where to put the dimensionals behind the vellum, and so we'll do that. So maybe I won't use quite so many. I do like my dimensionals, but probably didn't need quite as many as I had. Maybe one more in the corner. And we'll take the paper off, and then the same thing, we'll line it up with the bottom. And I just realized I forgot my bird, so we'll bring in that stamp and the Memento black one more time. And we'll put those birds up in the corner. And that is it. That is the last card. Love it. And I hope you do too. Quick, easy, masculine cards that we never have enough of. Tons of sentiments in the kit that you can use. So let me bring the cards back in. So I guess really we only need one of these. So these are the 3 that I made with the components for one of the cards. So again, you can make 9 altogether instead of just 3. Oh wait. Try that again. These are the 3 that you can make because I have my fun fold card there. So these are the 3 with the first card, and then for this one, these were the other 2. So using the card base like this, we separated them and made 3 cards, so you can get then 9, of course, with that card as well, instead of just the 3. And then you still have 1 card left. When I looked at the components, I will say it didn't seem to be quite as easy to do this, you know. I didn't even try, honestly. I ran out of time, but I was thinking it would be a little more challenging. Maybe not. Maybe it would be similar to this. Like I said, I haven't tried it yet, but hopefully this gives you some ideas and you can use that 3rd card and do something similar with it, because I am going to try it myself when I have a little bit more time. But like I said, my kit has come so late these last few months that it's hard with, you know, holidays. It seems like it's been over holidays as well. It's hard to get the videos out, so that's what I've been really trying to do. I'm a school psychologist by day, so hopefully with summer coming in just a few more days, the next few kits I'll be able to get out much more quickly because I'll have time during the day. So fingers crossed for that. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate so much you watching every month. It really means a lot when you leave me some comments and let me know what you think of the cards. I absolutely would love to see your variations. If you use my ideas, post them in the comments. I would love to see them. Remember to check out my other videos. I have lots of other card videos, scrapbook pages, home decor items, tips and techniques, beginner videos. This summer I'm going to work on a more sort of complete beginner series, or it may just be a couple of longer videos. I haven't decided yet, but look for those too if you are a beginner. And thanks again for watching. I will see you again soon. Happy stamping.